Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It is Thursday, July 1st. Can you believe it's already Thursday, July 1st? Oh my gosh, we're in the middle of summer. Get out there, everyone. It's a hot one. Anyways, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Yesterday was a very busy day in the world of the Britney Spears Conservatorship as a few things got filed in court, and there was some statements released by her conservator, and there seems to be a lot of damage control happening right now after Britney Spears opened up last week in court about her struggles in this conservatorship, including telling the court that she was forced to work, was not allowed to get married, and had a IUD placed in her, and she could not take it out despite her desire to have a baby. So her testimony riveted everyone, as a lot of people realized just the gravity of the situation that she is currently facing. And in her own words, describing what she described as a very controlling place where she had no control of her own life. As more and more people have been weighing in about whether or not a conservatorship has the right to strip human rights from someone, like getting married, having children, or the pursuit of happiness, others have been discussing whether or not she even needs to be in the conservatorship and why she's been in it for so long. Many grappling with this idea that perhaps she was placed in this conservatorship against her will or during a time when she was extremely vulnerable, and that it's been used to the advantage of her family, who has profited off this conservatorship for over a decade. In the middle of all of that, obviously, Jamie Spears had told, through his attorney, Vivian Tureen, that, if Britney wanted out of this conservatorship, all she had to do was ask the court and petition the court. To date, there has not been a petition filed for her to end her conservatorship. Nope. Instead, a judge actually ordered and denied her request yesterday to remove Jamie Spears as her conservator and only appointing Bessemer Trust as her financial side of the conservatorship. So while it sounds like it's a new motion and a new order, this is related to her motion she filed last fall, which had not been decided upon. So the judge was not at all factoring in anything related to the June 23rd testimony, but rather a motion where she had asked back last fall to remove her father as conservator, and the judge denied that request. So per the judge's order, Jamie Spears will remain the conservator of her, along with Bessemer Trust, and have 50% access to basically everything he had before, and he is no longer the sole person on the financial side of it. So it says that they have independent powers. So it says that James and Bessemer Trust of California are co-conservators of the estate are granted the following independent powers. They have the power to operate at the risk of the estate a business, farm, or enterprise constituting an asset of the estate, and the power to pay, collect, compromise, and otherwise adjust claims, debts, demands, and upon the conservatorship described in this. So they have the power to obtain all documents and records relating to the conservatee and her assets, whether held in her name or the name of another, all contracts, information relating to the credit cards, bank statements, and everything. So while everything used to be just at Jamie's free will, now Bessemer will be able to sort of monitor what he's doing. And so because they can request documents for everything, Jamie doesn't just have carte blanche to her checkbook. I mean, he didn't really either, but you know what I'm saying. So while it sounds like it's a win for her dad, it's actually a good thing that there is this third party now that's going to be a part of this, and that Jamie has someone else that's there with him, and he's not the sole person that makes the decision. So some people are saying, oh, it's a win for her dad. I would say this is more of a neutral choice, and at this point, we haven't even gotten to what Jamie filed yesterday. So this was the order that came down from the court. Jamie and Bessemer will be the financial side of the conservator managing the estate. Then over on to what Jamie filed. So apparently Jamie, who has amnesia, I believe, he has now filed that he wants a hearing for Britney. So he wants an investigation into all of the claims that Britney made during her testimony, including the ones that were most concerning. So in his petition, he filed two separate declarations. Okay, one was, it says that he is the conservator and he presents the petition for instructions and order an investigating issue into the claims by Britney Spears at a June 23rd, 2021 hearing. And here's what it says. Conservator Britney Spears asked for the court to set a status hearing so that she could directly address the court. The court granted her request, set a status hearing for June 23rd. Ms. Spears appeared telephonically on June 23rd, 2021, and provided lengthy testimony regarding the conservatorship and certain challenges she was facing. In the process, Ms. Spears made a number of serious allegations regarding how she was being treated during the conservatorship and raised serious concerns about her ongoing care. Following Ms. Spears' testimony and a brief recess, Mr. Spears, through counsel, expressed his sadness to hear that his daughter was suffering. Having the opportunity to consider Ms. Spears' testimony, Mr. Spears requests instructions and an order from the court to investigate the veracity of the allegations and claims made by Ms. Spears on June 23rd. Given the nature of the allegations and claims, it is critical that the court confirm whether or not Ms. Spears' testimony was accurate in order to determine what corrective actions, if any, need to be taken. It is also imperative for the proper functioning of conservatorship proceedings before this court that all parties be provided a full and fair opportunity to respond to allegations and claims asserted against them, including the way of an evidentiary hearing. He wants the court to, one, verify if what Britney said was true, and two, wants the conservators or the people that are managing her the opportunity to respond to the allegations and have the court investigate whether or not it happened, and if so, what changes need to be made. So he goes on to basically say that he was appointed as her financial and her personal conservator in 2008 and served as her personal conservator until March of 2019. Or until September of 2019. And then he said on September 19th that 2019, Jodi Montgomery was appointed as her temporary conservator. And then they said on October 10th, the court appointed Bessemer Trust as co-conservator of her estate. And it says at the hearing on April 27th, Ms. Spears, through a court-appointed attorney, Samuel Income, requested a status hearing for the purpose of addressing the court. And then at the hearing on June 23rd, she appeared by telephone or by video. So it says the testimony provided by Ms. Spears' status hearing covered a wide variety of issues involving both the conservatorship of the person and the estate, including but not limited to serious allegations regarding forced labor, forced medical treatments and therapy, improper medical care, and limitations on personal rights, to name a few. Mr. Spears believes it is important for the integrity of the conservatorship proceedings and the best interest of Ms. Spears for the court to order an investigation into the issues and claims raised by conservatee Ms. Spears. Either the allegations will be shown to be true, in which case corrective actions must be taken, or they will be shown to be false, in which case the conservatorship can continue its course. It's not acceptable for the conservators or the court to do nothing in response to her testimony. That was the one part where he was asking for the hearing. And then in a second filing, he's objecting to Jodi Montgomery being added as the conservator permanently. So right now, he wants the court to address these allegations, and it seems like partly that he wants them to prove it's either true or false. Partly, I feel like for him, he wants to prove it's false. But that's just my opinion. Now he also wants to object to Jodi actually being appointed as her permanent conservator. He actually is now taking jabs at Jodi and at Sam Ingham. So they say that Ms. Spears appeared telephonically and made heartfelt statements to the court for no less than 24 minutes. Based on her statements to the court, Mr. Spears is concerned that the petition to appoint Jodi Montgomery filed by Ms. Spears' court-appointed counsel does not reflect her wishes. Ms. Spears told the court on June 23rd that she opposed being under a conservatorship and revealed her ongoing disputes with Ms. Montgomery about her medical treatment and other personal care issues. These statements can contradict the notion that Ms. Spears seeks to have Ms. Montgomery appointed as her permanent conservatorship. conservator. If you remember, she had basically said that Miss Jodi had become even worse than her father, placing even more strict guidelines on her, and stated that she was not allowed to take out her IUD, not allowed to get married, and not allowed to drive with her boyfriend. So she says, he goes on to continue this and says, Miss Spears neither signed nor verified the petition to appoint Jodi Montgomery. Even though Miss Spears is the petitioner, Mr. Ingham signed the petition on the line reserved for her. There is not even a nomination for Jodi Montgomery's appointment signed by Miss Spears. Again, this raises the concern that the petition to appoint Jodi does not reflect her wishes. Mr. Spears has served as a conservator hasn't served as the conservator for the person for nearly 2 years. When he relinquished the powers to Miss Montgomery has been fully in charge of her day-to-day personal care and medical treatment, and Miss Montgomery has made all decisions related to those matters. Miss Montgomery has made such decisions regarding personal care, medical treatment, and consultations with Mr. Ingham, in which consultations specifically excluded Mr. Spears. Mr. Spears, therefore, has greatly saddened to hear of his daughter's difficulties and suffering, and he believes that there must be an investigation into those claims, including an evidentiary hearing, in order for the court to determine whether or not to grant the petition to appoint Jodi Montgomery. So it seems like right now he wants to distance himself from some of these claims by pointing out that he has not been in charge of her care for like the last 2 years. But I want to note something very, very telling. A lot of what her complaints were really about the times when she was working. And I also want to point out she has not worked while Jodi Montgomery has been her conservator. She has not been in Vegas. She has not recorded music. She has not worked since like the very end of 2018. So if she's not working and Jodi, and the accusations are of forced labor, that would not, in my opinion, include Jodi. And she was not speaking about Jodi. She was directly speaking about her dad and her management team, and speaking about how they forced her into a treatment facility against her will. So this part just seems really like it's all Jodi's fault. And says that in the petition to appoint Jodi, Mr. Ingham incorrectly states that the conservatory's capacity to consent to any form of medical treatment was determined by order filed in this matter on 10/10/2014, but there was no such finding and there is no such order. Nonetheless, based on this false premise, Mr. Ingham seeks an order from the court taking away her right to give informed consent for her own medical treatment. So do you remember last year when he basically equated her to having like the capacity of a comatose patient, and people were like, what in the flying F is this? She's like doing world tours and she's like performing and she's recording and she's comatose? You have got to be kidding me. Now, this does sound a little sneaky here. Like, he's also complained about how he has been pushed out of the picture by Mr. Ingham. So is something sinister going on here? Or is there some sort of motivations by Britney? But I do agree that if there is not an order from the court that states she cannot sign a document, I think it should be, in my opinion, false, right? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. They want him to, until the questions are answered by way of an evidentiary hearing, the court cannot grant the petition to appoint Jodi Montgomery. So they want them to be able to investigate the claims that she can't participate. And that's a really big claim. Like, if there's not been an order that she can't participate in her own medical care, then that seems like a gross overstep by her attorney. It also says that on September 9th, he relinquished his powers to Miss Montgomery, and then unlike Miss Montgomery and Mr. Ingham, Mr. Spears does not speak or meet with Miss Spears' medical team, and is not permitted, nor does he have the opportunity to provide any input into his daughter's current medical treatment, diagnosis, or therapy. Nor does Mr. Spears participate in or discuss any of her personal affairs, such as issues related to self-care, marriage, and reproductive desires. These are issues under the purview of Miss Montgomery and Miss Spears' conservator of person, and issues that Miss Spears presumably discusses with her court-appointed attorney. Mr. Spears is not involved in any of these decisions. He wants, I think, again, trying to deflect from the side that, like, I'm not allowed to get married, I'm not allowed to take out this, all these forced stuff, except it doesn't really concern the work part. Like the work part still, again, does not make sense. So he says he's unable to address his concerns directly because he's been cut off from communicating with her. So it says in the prior years when Mr. Spears did serve as the conservator, he did everything in his power to support and care for her, for Britney, well-being and personal decisions, including marriage. For example, during the time when he was her conservator, she was never prevented from getting married. And to the contrary, during the conservatorship, while Mr. Spears was under as her person, she was engaged to be married, and her fiance was in fact appointed to serve with Mr. Spears as the co-conservator of the person from 2012 to 2013. And he said that relationship did not go to marriage. So they're talking about Jason. As the record in this matter evidence, Mr. Spears has dutifully served in various conservatorship roles for over 13 years, and Mr. Spears has no intention of serving as her personal conservator ever again. So he wants them to deny the request to appoint Jodi. He wants an evidentiary hearing to look into the claims that Britney brought up, and then the court can decide how to move forward. And then in response to all of that, the judge has ordered a court hearing for July 14th at 1:30 p.m. So it says that the petition for instructions and order investigating issues and claims by Britney Spears at the June 23rd hearing. So it sounds like a judge is going to hear everything that's been brought up and look into everything. But then in response to this, obviously Jodi Montgomery had to say something, and she was denying that there was a restriction on Britney getting married and Britney not being able to have children. So there seems to be a lot of finger pointing here. She said, this is what Jodi said in a statement. As to Britney's right to marry, that is unaffected by the conservatorship. As to family planning, that is also unaffected by the conservatorship. If Britney needs any assistance with either, Miss Montgomery has and will be there to provide any assistance needed to Britney. Britney's choice to marry and to start a family has never been impacted by the conservatorship, while Miss Montgomery has been conservator of the person. So with both sides saying that she can't get married and she can't have kids, I don't believe that this idea didn't come from anywhere. I really don't. I don't believe this idea that she can't get married and have kids came from the deep blue. So someone here is not being truthful. Someone had to have put this in her, because she isn't going to make this up. Why would she make something up like that doesn't even make sense? And she went on to say that, attorney went on to say, I can state and unequivocally that Jodi Montgomery has been a tireless advocate for Britney and for her well-being. While she does not control the financial assets, she is responsible for her personal care. And if Britney wants any issues brought up to the court, Miss Montgomery is and has always been ready, willing, and able to do so. And from the very beginning of her appointment, Miss Montgomery and the medical team that she assembles have had one primary goal: to assist and encourage Britney in her path to no longer needing a conservatorship of person. So she's saying she's dedicated to getting her off of the conservatorship. And then she also says that all of Miss Montgomery's and fees are approved by the court as required by the law. And after petitions setting forth her fees and costs in detail are filed to the court in the public record. To protect Britney's medical privacy, portions of time records contained in those petitions do have to be sealed. So she is tirelessly working for her, and her, apparently, parts of her records are sealed. And I think the biggest issue for many people is that this is a conservatorship, and it clearly involves something to do with mental health, but we don't know what the mental health diagnosis is. So it's hard for the public because there are things that we don't know. And so people can speculate and say that she has nothing wrong with her. And then other people can be on the very other end and be like, no, she has some sort of severe mental illness that she needs help with. And I think, it's hard because when you speculate that there's nothing, you minimize if she is truly struggling with something. And then if you say that she's over here super severe and she's not, you're minimizing her capacity. And that's why it's hard to speculate, because we don't know, and it's not our business to know. And I think sometimes as people, we over speculate and over discuss her medical issues. I think for most of us, All they want is for Britney to have autonomy and freedom, and if she's saying she doesn't want to be in this anymore and she doesn't need it anymore and the court says she doesn't need it anymore and people can agree to it, then she needs to be let out. She needs to be free. And I think Britney has shown for years that she should be able to do this on her own. So that's what we have for now. Jamie says it's Jodi's fault. Jodi says it's Jamie's fault or something. And apparently Sam Ingham is not communicating with Britney, or either Britney's not asking. I feel like there's a huge failure by her attorney here, and the fact that she was never granted her own counsel. I do hope they allow her to get her own attorney here that will actually seemingly do what's in the best interest of her, because I don't think Sam is it. And why Sam has not yet filed a petition to terminate this many days later astounds me. So what do you think about this? And what do you think about what is going to come up in that hearing? And do you think it will actually help raise more doubts for the conservatorship, or will it support the parents and Jamie and the conservator and Jodi? Like, as the public opinion wanes, what would happen if they find that she does have something very severe impacting her ability to be independent? Does that change people's point of view? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.